So agent smithing is still on, and we can all go back to theory crafting the advantages and disadvantages, the potential exploits and lightly implementations of such a feature now.
Let's start theory crafting. Hey, today we're going to do something totally different on my channel. And I mean, if you have dug your way all the way through the bowels of YouTube to find my channel, you're pretty hardcore about Star Citizen. So today we're going to talk in depth about alternatives to agent smithing or how it can be done without breaking immersion. Stick around. Welcome back, backers. So like I said, this is not a typical format for my channel. I don't usually just sit around and discuss and bullshit and Theorycraft, right? So if at any point in this conversation you dig this, go ahead and hit like, subscribe, share it with your org mates, and I really do want to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. I mean, that's why I'm doing this whole video. So let's go ahead and get into it. So this project, Star Citizen, is very ambitious. They set out to be the best damn space sim ever, they say. And it's going to attract a lot of people if this comes to fruition and finally makes it to a live launch. However, some aspects of the game may be a deterrent for some new players. I mean, that's fine. We don't want everybody in this game, right? It's not every game is for everyone, right? Certain playstyles go with certain games. However, we do need to attract enough people, enough of a player base that it would keep this game going for years and years and years and years. So what I've found is that Star Citizen is missing a couple of things. One of them is the ability to be able to get somewhere quickly to meet up with your friends, play with them, and log off, you know, if you only have a couple hours after work. But if the verse is so huge that it could take, you know, hours or days of playtime to meet someone, once, you know, the game's fully built and fleshed out and huge. Because, hey, side note, my buddy tried to get me into EVE, and he told me, okay, if you can only play one night a week on the weekends, he said it's probably going to take you about a month and a half to 2 months to reach me in the game where I am, because you're going to have to go around this system and around that system, because this one's controlled by these people, and you're not going to be able to get through there. So I understand where they're coming from with the whole agent smithing thing. I guess it is kind of needed, right? You need some way to be able to fast travel, so to speak, without breaking immersion and without imbalancing the game. But when they clarified agent smithing after the whole, you know, we're not doing agent smithing, yeah, we are, it was just lackluster. I don't know. I mean, what they announced was your buddy is off somewhere deep in the verse and he has some NPC crew members that he's hired, and then you can agent smith into them and take over. But, you know, of course, you'd leave all your possessions and everything and your ships back wherever your character is, because you're just playing the NPC. But he says you don't get any rewards or anything like that. But WTF, man? What's the point then? I mean, if I have maybe I'm way deep in the verse and, you know, we're years into this, and I convinced one of my friends to play, and he's back at whatever the new Port Olisar is, the newbie place, and I have to get back there, you know, or get him to me. Maybe? But man, that would get old. There's really no there's no reward. There's no point in doing it. So I just started talking about it with my org mates, and we discussed for hours on end. And I'm going to give you guys the summary of what we talked about here. So the first thing we discussed was how that we think that CIG doesn't really have it set in stone. They don't really know how any of this is going to work yet, because they don't need to, right? That's way down the road, man. Like, there's no point in wasting time trying to figure it out. Not right now. They don't need to waste resources on that. But I can waste my resources. I'm off tonight. I don't have to work until 9 a.m. tomorrow. So we discussed the news, how the CIG is talking about having you take over an NPC, but man, it's just not immersive. It's not. And I thought that was kind of the whole point of this game, with the 200 layers of sounds just for my thrusters alone. You know, things like that. Lighting that takes them a long time to do to make it just perfect. Immersive AF. And then this. I mean, understand that mechanic. I don't know. We need something. So let's say that we do go with agent smithing. Here's what my org mates and I came up with. Rather than just taking over a human, which is kind of weird because it's not immersive, doesn't make sense, what we could do is ask CIG to create one more race of NPCs, and it would be an android race. Something that maybe they could have something that differentiates them, like a cyborg implant or something, maybe Johnny Mnemonic looking, or maybe they could have that thing on their head like Lando Calrissian's friend. So I don't know, something. But basically, they would cost extra, to hire them over regular NPC crew because they have one extra ability. The ability to be remotely controlled by another player somewhere else in the verse, and it would use the comm arrays. CIG's talked a lot about using the comm arrays in the future and, revamping them, making it where, it's not only just for, crimes can be reported or not, but information can be sent and received via this network of comm arrays. And if, some of them are down, well, then that signal isn't going to travel any further. But hey, enter the Herald and other data running ships in the future. So, that will act as a comm array and be able to relay that signal. So the way I see it is, why not just put a race of NPCs in there? They cost a little extra to hire. They're a little more efficient. They do a little bit better than the regular NPCs on their own. And they have the ability to be player controlled. So once I log in and my buddy has that NPC, boom, this thing pops up. I hit left bracket to accept. And all of a sudden, I'm first person view in that NPC's. Like I'm in their head, man. It's like being John Malkovich. But so here's what I'm thinking is that they said that you get no reward. Man, that sucks. So how about this? You get half pay because there's service beacons. You're going to be able to share quest rewards, job rewards, things like that. So if you're controlling, you hear that? The cat likes this idea. Side note, there's a ship's cat mod now that you can get for the HCS voice packs. So you can check it out. Yeah, that was totally the ship's cat. Yeah, that was the ship's cat mod. That wasn't real interrupting my video or anything. All right, so back to this. So CIG is talking about making it where you get no reward. I really want to get some reward. So how about you get half pay on that job? And if you're there live in person, you get the full payout, aka the risk pay for being there. And of course, you wouldn't have access to any of your arsenal of ships or, any of your gear, your sniper rifle. None of that would be there with you. You'd be playing the NPC, controlling them remotely. And if that NPC got killed, boom, the connection's closed, right? Then all of a sudden you're just sitting back in your ship on an asteroid with the power off, hiding somewhere off deep in space, while you help out your buddy from afar. But let's say somebody takes out the comm arrays. Then what? Well, it would sever the connection. What happened? He hits you up in chat. I don't know. What happened? Little data runner comes along. Here's what happened. Somebody took out the comm arrays. I think it could create a lot of cool gameplay, honestly. And it wouldn't be immersion breaking. And you'd still get a reward. And they could still do their version of agent smithing. So that's the first thing we talked about. Then we talked about the alternatives to agent smithing. Basically, ways that you could move people across the galaxy quickly, relatively, right? Without imbalancing the game. So that if an orc goes and finds this deep, far away, remote place in border space and they, build some bases there and they're mining the resources and things, that way some org with 10,000 members can't just, show up like, bam, all of a sudden they're there, right? We don't want that, okay? But what we thought about are some clever ways that we could move people in game without breaking it, with ways to give you cool rewards. I'm talking about quality in-game content, like events that happen somewhat randomly yet regularly that players can participate in, that will pull upon the resources of where they're going with Spectrum. Because as my org mates and I were brainstorming, we thought, okay, if any of our ideas would ever get any traction, we would have to use assets that they're already building for the game, right? Because, if you're like, build me a roller coaster in an amusement park, they're not going to do that. So it's got to be something realistic, something that uses in-game assets. Now, they talked about how they want to make Spectrum be able to be integrated in with the game, because this chat is just kind of a placeholder that we have right now from back at 2.0. So they want to bring Spectrum in game, and then that way some folks could be out of the game and communicating with friends and org mates within the game. It'd be pretty cool if you could do it on your phone as well. I mean, I guess you could bookmark the website, but it'd be kind of cool if they had their own app. It could double as an authenticator app too. Spectrum would be the first asset that we would use in our idea. And what it would do is blast out alerts to everybody that in-game events are about to start in X amount of minutes, 30 minutes, for example. Now, there are some things that we think already are really cool. Now, there's some player-made ones that are really cool. The Daymar Rally, I've watched some videos on that and listened to an interview with the founder of it. That thing is really cool. It's a great idea. I think I want to do it. Somehow I want to participate. And then there is Operation Pitchfork. That one looks cool, too. Everybody wants to go, raid the Vandal planets as soon as the game launches, as one big organized strike and take them over. That's cool. So those are player driven events. Now CIG's got some cool events. They've got the race. There's a course randomly generated with all the beacons, and you have to travel around and destroy the beacons. It's that thing they're balancing right now between the heavy ships and the fast light ships, and I guess it's Mad Max style. You can shoot them or try to avoid them, but whoever destroys the most beacons and makes it through the race, I guess, wins. I don't know. It'd be cool if you could make bets on that somehow, like go to an NPC bookie and place bets. That'd be pretty awesome. Then the second thing that's really cool is those bangles. So, players aren't going to be able to buy the bangle, unfortunately. It's just for Squadron 42. And to be badass in the PU. So they're going to put 2 of them that are not player owned. From what I hear, I don't know. This is just from what I hear. But they're going to put 2 of them in the game, randomly spawning these giant carriers out in the verse. They spawn with NPC crews. Those things are ginormous. Hopefully they're packed full of gladiuses, so it makes it really hard to take. Orgs can get together, maybe multiple orgs. It's probably going to take a lot of people with a really coordinated strike to be able to take one of the bangles without destroying it. And then you take it over and repair it, and then it's yours. And I guess then that org just controls it until they lose it to someone else. And I guess if they get destroyed, another one just randomly spawns somewhere with an NPC crew. But I can't wait to see that happen if it does come to fruition, and to see eventually, 2 giant orgs that control each of the Bengals having a giant fleet battle. So those things are cool. But what else is there? The reason I ask is because one of my org mates asked me, well, what is there going to be to do? I mean, this dude's had the game since, there's just a hangar to walk around. But he really kind of thought it was going to be, like 3 factions all battling in space, descending down into the planet's surface, Marines flood out, like a big PlanetSide 2 type thing, except you can walk around the ship and go from planet to planet. I explained to him that there's, all these mechanics, there's the repair, salvage, et cetera, et cetera. And that it's all going to be player driven. And they're going to have NPCs that can send up service beacons and can accept service beacons eventually. They're going to have NPC subsumption. They're going to have AI flight behavior. They have AI traits, right? Where this NPC is courageous, or this one is timid, or this one's grizzled. And apparently, I can't remember what it was a long time ago on some show far, far away from Star Citizen I watched. They were saying that NPCs are going to get, I guess, they can skill up, or maybe if they're in an attack against the Vandal, or defending against the Vandal, and they're the only one that survives, they may develop a trait that's, where they have a hatred of the Vandal, so they won't retreat from any fight with Vandal after that, so they pick up traits. So they're going to have a lot of these assets already built into the game. So let's say that your real life gets super busy, and you don't have a lot of time to be able to play, right? Maybe that's why you're backing so much into the game right now, because you know that you might have some money, mad money that you could put into the game, but you're not time rich. So you're not going to be able to play all the time to grind out all the ships and all these things. How are you going to meet up with your friends that are time rich? Like, what if they're, 4 systems away? Maybe you log in, once or twice a week, but it takes you 4 hours to meet up with your friends. That sucks. So, on Reverse the Verse last week, they talked about that maybe they could have a thing where you pay one of the touring ship owners or NPCs to then take you somewhere else. And, maybe it'd take... Where did I hear that? I think Nubifier talked about this too, right? Yeah, Nubifier talked about this. He said that his buddy was like 4 hours away, and he said, well, what about if we just do a thing where it's like, you pay the fee, you get on the ship, you log out, and you'll still take forever to get there. It'll take 6 hours, but you can be logged out. You can be sleeping. You can be at work. So then they brought that up on the Reverse the Verse. So good call, Nuberfire. If that was your idea, man, good call. If not, just throw it in the comments. So CIG seems interested in that idea. So using that, we built on it. Okay, so here's the thing. These events are going to go off on a timer, anywhere from 1 to 12 hours. Okay, so if one goes off at, say, the 12th hour, and then the timer resets, and the next one randomly goes off at hour 1, well, then there'd only be an hour between each of these events, which would create some cool gameplay, some really cool stories, and memorable moments. So if you have 3 different events going, they're all on random timers, once every 12 hours, there's going to be 3 different opportunities in the AM and 3 different opportunities in the PM to move yourself or a friend toward the action, which could be closer to where you're trying to go. It's not going to get you exactly where you're trying to go, but it could maybe move you a lot closer to where it's not going to take you 4 hours to meet up with your buddy. And with these events happening randomly, then it's a lot harder for orgs to predict it and to have everybody ready to go, and then move all their troops over to some other system and just crush them, right? Because you want to be able to have some distance. That's kind of the point of the game, and the data runners, then that's their job. So we don't want to imbalance the game. Instead, we just want to enhance it and remove some pain points and aid the developers in figuring out a way to help us to meet up with our friends a little faster, but also make it to where you can have your own little corner of space and not anybody can just pop in. So let's say the Vandul fleet has been spotted. It's 30 minutes away. It pops up on Spectrum, blasts it out to everyone that subscribes, and pops up on your phone. Bing. Oh man, look at that. I better finish up the yard work. I've got half an hour. Then your buddy, he's in the game, but he's super far away. He hasn't been able to play with you. Last time, you couldn't even meet up. He was hours away. You need to get the alert. We have a way to do it. Each major city will have 2, 3, however many we need, hoplites spawn on the landing pad with NPC pilots. These hoplites would be specially marked, like yellow or something, or you could give a special color to each of the different major cities, so you kind of know which one they're from. Then a message flashes across everyone's screen. Reinforcements needed for this alert. The Vandul are attacking. So everybody to your ships. So then you get to the nearest major city, major landing pad. There awaiting are these hoplites, specially marked. You go jump in one of those. There's a whole bunch of other citizens that get in there. It's whatever gear you can carry on your back. So, your grenades, your armor, your weapons, things like that. But you're not going to be able to bring your Idris, right? Because it's still way, way far. It's going to be you can't get it there in time. But you want to participate in the alert. So you get on the hoplite and you tell your buddies. They get on the hoplites at the other major cities, wherever they are closest to. Everyone accepts the alert, the contract, the mercenary job to go help in the alert in their Moby-Glass. That way the game knows who to pay and, how many players to pay. And then at a certain point in time, before the Vandul reach the system they're attacking, the hoplites take off, the NPCs fly over there. And the main advantage of these hoplites is that they don't have to stop. Once they jump from their point of origin, they just keep going until they land there at the bastion that needs to be defended. Now, any players that are in the sector would show up with their Idris or whatever they have, their Cuddy, all these different ships landing, and then players piling on board. Oh, this Connie, I need, 2 more people for my Connie, that type of thing. So everybody's piling into these ships, and then here's the countdown, 5 minutes till the Vandul reach the atmosphere. Just random idea. If they could, you could have a loner Avenger that you could get when you're there. They could have a terminal on the landing pad. You could just go spawn in a loner Avenger, and maybe it cuts into your profit on the alert, from the reward. I don't know. But it'd be bare bones, basic. Basic. But anyway, so we'd have possibly loner ships that they could get. Anyway, it would get everybody to a particular place together. So what I figure is it would be wave after wave, just like Vandul Swarm. It would start out with smaller ships, then it would have some beefier ships the next wave and the next wave, and then maybe you could have like a big giant ship come in with some smaller ships. Not a king ship, those things are massive, but something. They start out taking out the regular NPC patrols, those police Avengers that are flying around. They take those out. Then they go and they start destroying the local defenses because they said they're going to build base turrets eventually. So they're going to, the Vandal would start attacking those, and then they start trying to destroy the buildings. I don't know. I didn't think past that point. But basically, they're going to try to mess everything up, and we'd have to stop them for a reward. Now, let's say the battle's over. We won. We fended off the Vandal. The remaining ones fled back to their system. Well, we would have accepted the service beacon, so we were going to get some reward in money. So let's say this planet is offering up 100,000 credit reward to defend them from the Vandal. They're defenseless. So 100 people participated in this, 100 players. So at the end, those that participated would get 1,000 credits each. 200 players, well, then it'd be 500 credits each. Now let's say there's only 50 players. Well, good luck, right? If you guys can do it, you get all the money, but good luck. It would be one of those type of things. Plus, everyone who participated in the battle would get a shorter insurance claim time, at least for the next ship, right? Or the next 60 minutes. They can claim as many ships as they can in the next 60 minutes, and each of those will have a shorter timer. The people of the planet are so thankful for your help in defending them against the raid that they pay the expedited fee to the ship manufacturer. Something, right? You can make it immersive. Roleplay it, you guys that do that. Now, as far as how do you figure out if someone was participating or not, I don't know. You guys would have to look at some other games and figure out what mechanics they use to decide. Because I know in other games, I don't get my resources if I stay AFK too long. So somehow they do it. The next thing is you would need some mobile spawns. So players that are in the vicinity could, of course, bring ships with med bays, Cutlass Red, or anything with a modular medical bay. You would also need some type of mobile spawn for the alert that is NPC based. So possibly a couple of Cuddy Reds could be spawned in the vicinity for people to spawn into. And if you spawn into it, it'll take you down to the planet and land you so you can get back to the ship terminal, for example. Now, the big reward would come with dedication and doing it over and over. And, with other games, if you ever played any other MMOs, there's always a grind. And then there's a reward at the end. And I know we hate it. We complain about the grind, but then we love getting exalted in whatever, some cool mount or some cool skin or some cool title, so why not? Let's do it. So how about this? If you defend 100 systems against the Vandal, right? You do that 100 times and you guys win, then you'll get the title of Defender. If you do it 250 times, you get 250 wins, you get the title of Vengeful. And you get a captured, repainted Vandal ship reward. I'm not just saying this because my org mates and I are trying to figure out ways to get free ships or cool titles or anything. It's because we need something to keep all of our org mates interested in the game forever, to attract new people to the game, people that want to be able to just log in and do some quick, cool, multiplayer, massive battle that includes NPCs and players. And they want to play it after dinner, and then they got other stuff to do. They can't play all the time. So this would give some cool gameplay experience. It would give us some in-game events. We could earn some in-game rewards from doing it over and over and over and over. But it would be randomized. It would be on a different portion of a different planet or moon each time. And it'll give us an in-game mechanic that is immersive enough to move us across the verse without exploiting really much. Can you guys think of any exploits? Let me know down in the comments. Let's have a discussion. So that is one of 3 events that we came up with. The other one involves Banu and PvP. So if you guys want, let me know in the comments. If this gets enough likes, enough views, whatever, I will then do another one. And I will talk about an event that could be used with the Banu race, and then a third event as well. And by having these in-game events, we could then move immersively through the verse, and we wouldn't even really need the Agent Smith mechanic. especially if we have a thing where you can pay someone to take you to your destination and then you log out. And when you get there, you'll wake up in the bed. So think about it, guys. Talk about it in the comments. Share this with your org mates, with your friends. Let me know what your thoughts are. I talked for way longer than I normally ever do, and we'll keep having these discussions if you guys want it. So with that, I'm out. I'll see you guys around the verse.